Yeah, that's a good question.
Where is it a problem?
Where's the problem? It's what I was. I will get back to that question because my contribution relates to a discussion also on the need for supportive tools so that I can make those decisions if I want to donate or not to donate, or if what I want to do with my data. And this is motivated by certain shifts. There is a shift in increasing patient and family participation. They are becoming more active and they are required to be more active. There are new regulations, there are interesting white papers and interesting publications coming out under the umbrella of like patients can help. And there is an untapped resource in the citizen patient family perspective. It's also emerging or recent regulations and directives from the EU that is influencing us significantly, saying that you have a right to personal information in digital form, but it's not a blank ticket. There are also rules and regulations so that this can be done safely. And we are increasingly navigating between or mediating between personal, professional, and population perspectives. There is confusion in the field. We get access to a lot of information that we don't necessarily at first hand understand. There are calls for collaboration, contributions, and co-creation. In this picture, autonomy and accountability are important aspects. Alejandro pointed out that we do have a lot of technologies available. Let me also share with you as a starting point some work that we did a few years back where we explored how people are keeping health information in the context of their home. The home space is largely uncharted territory. And I had the privilege and opportunity to participate in a study where we were invited into people's homes and they showed us what they did in terms of artifacts and how they used space. This is several health artifacts, and at this time, this is 10 years ago, so we've had a digital explosion since, and I'm sure that some of the artifacts would change, but it gives us a picture of where people are doing certain health information management things in the context of their home. It's in more private spaces. They're using already existing tools for coordination, and they are differentiating the information in terms of an anticipation of urgency. We suggested 4 different patterns. One being just in time, which is information that you usually keep with you. And also over dinner last night, we had a discussion on, so what is the most important information you need about a patient when the patient all of a sudden shows up and need care? The people that we worked with in this study, they had an anticipation that, and this was in the US, you need to know next of kin, you need to know medication, you need to know insurer, and some other information. And this was information that they made sure that you carried with you. There was information according to a just at hand strategy, where it's visible or stored in a easily accessible, familiar place in the household. It's just in case information. That's typically for them were the electronic health record information that was stored away, but they knew where to get it. And there was a lot of information that was just slipping by in terms of artifacts or of temporal relevance that they hadn't decided on yet. And taking this as a starting point and start a discussion on how are citizens currently, or how are we differentiating the different type of data, adds to a discussion on what do we need and what could the compass be. We have new opportunities in patient-facing apps. This is an example of a study that we do back home in Norway, where we are concerned about a huge problem in the aging population, which is undernutrition. And we're using the technology to emphasize organizing your day and your meal plan. We are visualizing key variables, and we are also demonstrating or supporting orientation in terms of time and day and meals reported. I could spend a lot of time talking about this exciting project, but what I want to, from this, in the context of the Digital Health Compass and tools for navigation, I would like to draw your attention to some of the visualization that we can do. And we can, in this particular slide, I show how the overview, an overview of key variables over a time of week. For the, in the test that we are doing, this serves as a common object for discussion and communication, the dialogue with the users, and it can be with a family member, or it can be with a health provider, or other people that you choose to show what you have reported. We can also look at initiatives for informal carers in terms of support and learning. And this also adds to some of the work that Alejandro is doing in Spain. In this particular project, we have also taken small videos, short videos, to educate informal carers, so how to approach or show them, demonstrate some strategies when they are caring for a loved one at home that are acting differently than they used to. For example, aggressive behavior among home-dwelling cognitive declined people. And also offering community and real-time chat opportunities. So what we need to do, and I apologize, there is something in the transmission of shifting computers here that didn't come out quite as I had expected. But what we are suggesting is a digital health compass with several dimensions of empowerment, enactment, education, and evolving competencies, taking your, from a consumer perspective, taking your personal characteristic health and wellness into account, your healthcare experiences and expectations, your digital health literacy and e-health skills, and your health and digital health literacy skills as well, and looking at how that can come together as a tool that we can co-create, make collaboratively together to achieve the goal of more appropriate user-friendly tools. At the same time, adoptions of innovations in this space goes at the speed of trust. And trust is an extremely important concept, extremely difficult, and it's highly individual as well. Trust can be fostered by empowerment and by increasing, supporting individuals' capacity to identify, appraise, and use health information resources purposefully. There are numerous resources available, and it's more an issue of finding the one that is the best for me. also, and transforming that into trusted, actionable knowledge. And the individualization or the personal components comes in as I make evaluations, or as I'm determining and thinking about the relevance for me in my life trajectory. 20 years ago, I was maybe not so concerned about diet as I am today, or activity. And I know that I'm and I'm searching for tools like that. But and with all the limitations of using yourself as an example, I would say that my trust in the available or the applications that I can use comes with whether I trust and think the information is relevant. Also, as we're moving forward and thinking of us empowered as citizens, coming from a health background, I would like also to add a note of caution. As we're talking about tools, as we're talking about empowered patients, we are entering into a discussion about smart patients, and this is an interesting concept. On one side, we see the self-assured, the motivated, the aware, the resourceful, the talented patients, but they're also scared. They can be minors, they can be anxious, reluctant, and above all, time-consuming. And from a professional encounter, we know that these different aspects come in all sorts of combinations. You can be quite present yourself as quite self-assured, but you can be both scared and anxious at the same time. And a concern in this area would then be also to think about and be aware of all the unresolved questions and the digital divide that potentially can increase, but that we, as smart patients and empowered citizens, also have the opportunity to close. So on that note, we need tools that are mindful of our situation, and we need tools that take into account and can build from where we are starting as we move forward. And on that note, I would leave it to Petra Wilson to also share some more on the ethical aspects and patient-provider trust.